You really got me. I actually started believing it.
Well, you should, because we're a couple. Tell him, honey pie.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for you two!
Ew, maybe. We'll see. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about American Dad. Or more specifically, the episode Kloger, which concerns Klaus and Roger. As a result, we're gonna start by talking about episodes that concern Klaus and Roger, establish their bond, and all that good stuff. And discover why the episode Kloger is so divisive. Wait, is it Kloger? You know, Kloger sounds better. Now, Klaus and Roger are an interesting pair in the show, being the only two non-human members of the Smith family, and the only two non-Smiths, I guess, until Jeff comes along. And yes, I know that Klaus is really a human and not a fish, but come on, he's basically treated like a fish anyway.
Snow globe! No!
But in a way, they both have a lot of similarities. Early on, they basically had a brother type of dynamic, where Klaus would bully the crap out of Roger for plain existing, but like the rest of the Smiths, they would help each other if push came to shove. And I appreciate the irony that Roger, at the start of the show, wasn't allowed to leave the house unless he had an outfit, and even those moments were super rare. But Klaus was allowed to interact with people as a talking goldfish for some reason. Yeah, I like American Dad, but I wish they touched on that more. But all it did was remind him that he's not a human anymore, and what he lacks. He's like Ariel, kind of. Weirdly, Klaus and Roger didn't and still don't have a lot of episodes together. Like, the only time I can really remember in the first couple of seasons, like, is their moments of bickering, is in Deacon Stan Jesus Man, where Roger goes through his species version of ovulation and accidentally eats all of the potato salad Francine made for the Deacon's wake.
You set me up, Klaus! Why would you do something so awful?
I'm German. It's what we do.
And he replaces it with an unholy ingredient that's even as unholy as Karl Rove. Did it just get colder in here? But throughout the episode, Klaus keeps torturing Roger for this, like telling Stan he's the one who did it.
He secretes more after he eats. Stuff his face and the milk will flow like the lies from my drunken mother's filthy mouth.
Or by, like, telling Stan that, like, how he can get more of the milk. Or, as Klaus calls it,
The delicious alien boob slime.
ew. I wonder how it would taste in cereal, though. But yeah, it was hard to find Klaus and Roger type episodes, even with Google and Wikipedia and my beck and call. But I did find a few, which kind of continue the trend of them basically being like brothers. In License to Till, for instance, the main plot is kicked off by a bet that Roger can turn the next loser baby into a popular kid. And unfortunately, that kid happens to be Steve and Anita.
Oh my God! Pals that I know! Hello, pals! I'm here to get my eyeglasses adjusted! Hey, you got gummy bears in your ears?
Poor kid. Or there was that one episode where Klaus teaches Roger how to drive. But did he teach him IPD? You need to be constantly IPDing because you must overthink everything when you drive on top of focusing on the road. It's like teaching. Or when Klaus acted as Roger's accountant in order to prepare tax returns for his many, many personas. At least until he got arrested, because personas or not, most of them don't legally exist. Or Flavortown, where the pair work together as valets. Or my personal favorite, in Live and Let Fry, where Klaus finds out he's owed a massive inheritance, but he can't go to the lawyers because nobody will believe he's a fish. So he gets Roger to pretend to be him. Like this. Hey, that rhymes.
Hello, all.
Well, you have the smoking down. And the clubfoot.
I have everything down.
Yeah, no offense, this might be a bit unpopular. I don't really like Klaus's new look when he's a human, where he basically has the same face when he's a fish, and his hair is like a tail. Like, no offense, it looks too unnatural. I kinda like how he looked as a grandfather, but even then, I don't like him in Tearjerker, which even that you can justify as it being an AU. I kind of like the look here. Still, Roger goes through a lot of tests to prove who he is, and it's interesting to see Klaus used to have a past life.
What's my favorite breakfast sausage?
Weisswurst.
With?
Sauerkraut.
Also with?
Hefeweizen.
Baseball player?
Schoenweiss.
Tennis racket?
Schlesinger.
Made up word.
Scheigelbarben.
Roger goes to prove to the lawyers he's really him.
I was born to peasants in the quaint hamlet of...
Actually, we just need you to sign this affidavit swearing that you are who you say you are.
Really? But I had to sit through so many boring stories about my life.
I know, right? Unfortunately, they weren't inheritance lawyers. They were mafias. And they want to beat up Klaus because he owed them money. Really? Just beat him up? You're not gonna, kill him or anything?
Back home, I had a terrible gambling problem. Owed a fortune to the East German Mafia. Huh. Yeah, I guess they were trying to smoke me out.
Klaus, you need to remember the Italian virtue that you never owe money to a Shylock. Despite what it sounds like, that's not a slur. That's the mafia word for loan shark. It's not the dude from Shakespeare. You owe money to a cash advance. You owe money to the IRS. You owe money to your ex-girlfriend before you owe money to a Shylock, because they will hunt you down and kick your ass. Or heck, my favorite, and one of my personal favorites, Dr. Klaustus, where Roger starts being Dr. Penguin for the family, and when he's told their issues, instead of working on them head on, he tells them to bottle up and lie, rather than Klaus's idea that they should directly communicate and work on their problems.
I can't believe the family comes to you for therapy. People shouldn't ignore their emotions and avoid their problems.
What do you know? You're just a stupid fish.
Klaus, you've never been in a toxic family, have you? Roger is right. The saddest part is, Klaus actually does know what he's talking about because he has real psychological training, but he's also disregarded because he's a fish. So he schemes to get rid of Dr. Penguin by sending him to Iraq as Sergeant Pepper.
Well, who else shall I send to Iraq? That jerk at the dry cleaners who lost my tie.
I wonder if Dr. Penguin's, colleague is Dr. Pepper. Now, this episode is a tad dated. Even when it aired, I remember it being dated. I'm like, wait, didn't we stop having a war with them? But Klaus can't solve everything on his own and creates a firestorm. Mostly because the family isn't willing to admit to it, so I don't feel like if somebody's in therapy, you should force them to do it. You should let them do it at their own pace.
Now that the truth is out, we need to discuss ways for you and Haley to regain intimacy.
Yeah, Jeff, come back. I came out of your favorite place. Maybe you can still smell it on me.
So he travels to Iraq to bring Roger home. And I like how he understood Roger was so committed to this bit that he'd only come home if he was forced to. As in by turning him back into Dr. Penguin in his sleep.
This isn't my aunt's place. Aunt Evelyn! Aunt Evelyn, it's me, Raphael! Raphael Penguin!
Good morning, Dr. Penguin. Ready to come home?
At home, Roger can't solve anything because nobody is willing to pretend they saw nothing. They say they're toxic. So he says screw it while the family starts tearing each other apart. But Klaus and Roger get the idea that the only way to restore harmony is by having Roger as Sergeant Pepper tell everybody what to do, aka the ideas that Klaus have, and then afterwards give credit to Klaus, the credit he deserves.
Hey, no one is dismissed! Not until you thank this fish! These are all his ideas! I'm just an authoritative mouthpiece!
Or hey, I hate less money, mo problems, but there was that one bit how Klaus got Steve and Roger to test drive a Ferrari, and then they just drive past him in Vegas and flip him off.
Shut up, Klaus! You don't know! You don't know what you're talking about! What do you know?
I know because I drove a real Ferrari. Testarossa Spider.
But as you can tell, Klaus and Roger don't get as many episodes together as they probably should. But maybe this is intentional for closure. Despite all of the potential, they're jerks, they like drinking, because part of me wants to justify the episode as making fun of shipping drama. Like the weird title being a shipping name. Or the weird way the two get together. It really reminds me of a ship fic. With shipping, even if a character barely interacts with another, that's enough for fans because it starts fostering ideas. You start to think of what if. Lucifer and Alistair only got one episode together, and yet Radio Apple is so popular that even VisiPop and Amir Talay commented on it. And Amir is in my dreams. Not in a weird way, it was one time I had a dream, I think it was last week, where I kept asking him, am I making the right decision? Over and over again. And he's also an American Dad, guys. He told me he was Ricky Martin, but I don't know if that's fully the case. I think if they wanted to make fun of shipping, they would have made it more obvious. Maybe the family actually does debate what to call the two and then they decide on closure, rather than just making it the title. Or the Smiths act like fangirls or something like that. Or they reveal that kinda like the Book of Fisher, this is just one big fanfic or a what if by one of the Smiths, which would be a good twist, where Klaus is dating a woman and it turns out to be one of Roger's personas, but he's just going along with it. But TY to the whole 5 people who ship these two because we got this episode. Even if I don't ship these two, or honestly really any American Dad character for that matter, like I don't find American Dad all that ship heavy compared to something like Steven Universe or the Hellaverse, outside of possibly Steve or any of his love interests, because I think him and Akiko or him and Allie would be like a perfect endgame. Yeah, I don't really ship him and Snot outside of Friends. It's just because I don't mind them together, but the show really flanderized them so much into like this couple. You saw my video on Akiko, but enough beating around the bush is... Ugh, that sounds ugh. Time to get to this episode and see just what the fuss is all about. So, let's discuss. Wait a second. Have you ever noticed that with American Dad, the bad episodes tend to be the gross ones? I should make a list. Okay, now I'm done. Okay. One night, Roger runs around the house to tell the family the big news. A new steakhouse just opened, and they have a great porterhouse he wants to try. Whatever that is, I know like nothing about steak. All I know is I want the steak to come with mashed potatoes and be juicy and taste like the cow that produced it just died. I want to feel it in my bones. Honestly, I would probably do this too if I found out there was a new restaurant by my house. Unfortunately, he can't get the family properly excited because they all have some big stuff going on. Like Francine and Stan are going to the opera, or Steve has the presidential fitness test to prepare for, or Haley has pink eye, and we'll get to those plots when we get to those plots. Roger is a little upset he'll have to go solo, but hey, that's like my dream. Have you ever been to college and you get to eat alone? That's like awesome. He goes to the porterhouse as his new persona.
Christine Lucy Lamore, that's my name.
That sounds like a stripper name, and you don't look like a stripper. Unless maybe it was like that pregnant chick in G-String Circus? Unfortunately, Roger is told by the waiter that the porterhouse special is for 2 people, and well, he's by himself. Although considering how Roger was acting like a B-word to the waiter, well, I like to tell myself he just made up that rule to screw with him.
I'd like the porterhouse, please.
I'm sorry, but the porterhouse is for 2. Not for one person who smells like chapstick.
Mean person!
I would totally do the same thing. And besides, a fella has to do what he has to do to put food on the table for his little hermit crab.
This hollowed out bread would make the perfect shell for my hermit crab Herman. But, as usual, he probably won't show me any gratitude.
Now hungry and alone, Roger strolls around to realize, oh my god, everybody is in love and I have no one. Not even a body pillow, or that, like, doll thing from the Goonies. Which makes me think that Rogu coming into the Smith household wasn't like a total coincidence. You know, I should also write that Rogu video. But getting off topic. Aw, Roger's alone. That totally sucks. He should give Snot a call. Just saying, like, he could just say Jenny had a twin or she survived or some crap. On the bright side, I don't have somebody in the sense of a significant other, and honestly, I kind of prefer it that way. Sorry to you creepy pervs in my comments or on Reddit. I wonder if that's what the episode's gonna be about. The next morning, Roger goes to report his sadness and dismay and then throw himself into a freezer for good measure.
You wouldn't understand, Franny. You have Stan. You've never been alone in your life. Can someone get the door?
Huh. Klaus did that in Brains, Brains, and Automobiles, albeit he was forced to, but we know there's vodka in there, even if it's probably super freezer burned. But my point is, Roger can build a life for himself inside the freezer, unlike me. Francine suggests that if Roger is that upset, he should try to alleviate his woes by online dating, and as Roger doesn't worry he'll be killed or raped or both like I am, he signs up. Klaus disagrees with this idea.
Me and him, we're lone wolves, baby. Punch in, punch out. That's how we do it. Bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Come on, Raj. Give me a bam.
Bam.
$5 if you can guess what happens next. But like I said above, I feel like all the worst American Dad episodes have something in common. They're gross. Like Flirting with Disaster is hated for what happened to Francine's face, or the mural of the story is hated for what happened to Haley's face. Oof, that was a total coincidence. Or The Naughty Stewardesses is hated for what happened to Steve and Roger's faces. I've heard some people don't like that. Kloger is hated for the gross stuff here, but I think another reason people don't like it is the subplot, which is weird. Now, kind of like the moral of the story, this episode is kind of saved for me because of the Steve subplot. Like, I wish they made this the main plot and made Kloger like a B plot, because it has a lot of potential I wish was further explored, and it's kind of funny and relatable. Steve finds out that his school is doing the presidential fitness test.
Because the school's bringing back the presidential fitness test.
Damn you, Obamacare!
Wait, this episode aired in 2017. What am I doing? Am I projecting my own issues because I had to do this stuff when Obama was still in office? I was not good in PE, guys. And I'll have you know that in the words of Bradley Whitford, I would have voted Obama to a third term if I could. Of course, because this is American Dad, this means he's going to be supervised by military dudes. I don't know what you would call them. Like, I know you call them soldiers, but I don't know if they have, like, titles or something, and, like, general or sergeant. I don't want to get it wrong. And have an entire audience that isn't just his immediate gym class watching his embarrassing failures. And if he fails, he gets the Jeffy treatment. Diapers.
The only people who can't do pull-ups wear pull-ups.
It's not, we're screwed. This guy's gonna put us back in diapers.
What do you mean, back in?
And likely also an F, but diapers suck too. I wear period pads. That's kind of like diapers. I'd rather take the diapers. Roger starts online dating and meets a dude named Pac-24. What the hell does that even mean? But yes, it's a dude because Roger is pan. He is allowed to be with who he wants. You should respect that. Roger's date accepts the offer to go to the steakhouse, and when he gets there...
This is it. The first day of the rest of your life.
Oh, he's hot. Wow, Roger, you like hit the lottery.
What are you doing here?
I'm on a date, but he just left.
Why do you have a red rose? My date's supposed to be holding a rose.
My date's supposed to be in a Packers helmet.
Oof, this is awkward. Let's deal with the uneasiness by discussing the subplot. Steve tries to find every avenue to get out of the test, but because he isn't sick or dying, he still has to participate. Thank gosh his sister has poor insurance because she clearly isn't under 26 and living with her parents.
I don't have insurance because I'm kind of between jobs right now. So I'm pretending to be a student to see Nurse Margaret about my pink eye.
Pink eye?
But then again, I feel like it's in character for Stan to say, like, you're not mooching off of me. Haley, I don't really think that's doctor-worthy. Like, I think you could just go to, like, Walgreens and get some over-the-counter stuff for it. I mean, unless it still persists, in which case you should go to an urgent care, but still. Admittedly, though, I sympathize with you, Hales. When I was in first grade, I got pink eye, so I had to miss out on the Christmas pizza party they were gonna order at school, and I paid $5 for it and everything. Instead, I got my mom holding me down to force me to take eye drops. No pizza. Admittedly, though, I will say, while this subplot does seem gross, I mean, like this scene right here.
Give me some!
What are you doing, psycho?
I gotta get out of this test!
Trust me, it's not. Like, it's a little gross, but they kind of handle it better than what we eventually get. It's miles better. But back to the steakhouse. So Roger has discovered that Klaus was his online date, which feels kind of weird, but hey, that's why it would have made for a cool subplot. Like, Roger could spend the whole episode pining over this online dating dude, and then at the end they reveal it's Klaus and Roger, and they just have a steak. That would have been cool. Or, again, maybe kind of like Roger needs Richard, Klaus falls in love with one of Roger's personas, but he doesn't realize it until it's too late. American Dad is all about twists. That would be a cool twist, don't you think? Oh god, here we go. But I warn you, dearest, gentlest viewer, it gets weirder from here on. Very, very weird. Since there's two of them, they decide to split a meal, and hey, Roger got that porterhouse he wanted.
Excuse me, your table is ready. Party of two?
Well, I have been wanting to try this porterhouse for two. Do you wanna? I mean, we are friends.
Ooh, and I wonder how it goes from here. Maybe they discover that despite their differences, they have a lot in common, like the Breakfast Club. Maybe they like steak. Maybe they go to other steak places. Maybe Roger and him talk about the misunderstanding. Or maybe, just maybe...
That was incredible!
Okay, that just happened. Okay, I guess we should get this out of the way. Why do people hate this episode? Well, okay, I don't know how to put this, and I don't want to repeat myself.
How do we put this, the two of them together? Well, it's
gross.
Look, we're not saying they can't date.
I'm saying that.
Okay, we wish we could say that.
Yep, that. But is it really gross? Kind of. Okay, for me, I am kind of confused because a big reason it took me so long to review this episode is I didn't know what to think. Sometimes I'll watch this episode and think, ew, it's disgusting, no wonder it's hated. Sometimes I'll watch it and think, no big whoop, I've seen worse. But yeah, I like flip-flop constantly, like a fish. Now, like usual, I like to be in the middle with these types of things because I feel like both sides have something to contribute to the argument. But yes, I don't think this should have been a main plot, it should have been a subplot. And it really should have stopped when they were at the restaurant. Or maybe the episode could act like they're seeing each other, like boning, and then really they're just like eating steak together. But I do find certain scenes gross since the episode basically spends all of Act 2 focusing on these super gross moments, aka Klaus and Roger expressing their love.
Yes, Klaus. Oh my god, yes!
Ew, my ears! And cats have more sensitive ears than humans. To me, I think the main reason I find them gross is they're basically family. They're like relatives. Like, obviously, they aren't blood related, but for all intents and purposes, they're basically relatives. And I feel like at this point, they kind of go beyond roommates. They've known each other for years, and I use the word relative because they aren't exactly cousins. They weren't exactly raised together, but they're not exactly brothers. Like, Roger and Steve, they're brothers, and they're best friends. Him and Klaus, yeah, it depends on the day, but yeah, they're basically family. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I know you typically relay your criticisms through Catherine, so Catherine, let her rip. Kitty, you are such a major hypocrite. You're like Nestle, but I don't like coffee or chocolate. Whatever, you're boring. But Roger has come onto all of the Smiths before. Steve, Haley, Francine, Stan. I mean, last week you did review the episode where he comes on to Stan's father.
Roger, do you have a boy crush on my grandfather?
No, of course not. Why, did he say something about me?
So why do you have a problem with this and not that? Are you a hypocrite? Well, that is true, Catherine. Not the hypocrite thing. He's made Jeff super uncomfortable, like, multiple times. I mean, there was one whole episode where Jeff confessed to Haley that he's uncomfortable with Roger crushing on him.
I think the dude who lives in your parents' attic has a crush on me. It makes me uncomfortable.
Hey, bookworm.
And in Why Can't We Be Friends, he even expressed a willingness to do stuff to him. He and Steve had that scene where he massages him in Honey, I'm Homeland as a result of all those candles.
Steve? Roger? Are you up there?
What? What have we been doing? It must have been the candles, right?
Get out.
And as Alicia Wilkner, he roofied Steve a couple of times and likely took it further.
You were Alicia Wilkner? We went on 7 dates!
9. I roofied you on 2 of them. Nothing happened. Wink, wink.
He's kissed Francine before, albeit that was a drunken slip-up that resulted in him losing his friendship necklace. He has a huge crush on Stan, which this episode even brings up because he's not at all subtle.
He has a major crush on me.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Wait, he admitted it? Klaus, you gotta tell me these things. When I heard Tuttle had a crush on you, I told you immediately.
And honestly, one of my favorite Roger scenes is when he fingers Stan during CPR, and they imply he's done it so many times that it doesn't bother Stan, and he treats it like Roger wrote on the wall again. And heck, in Steve and Haley's cases, it's arguably probably worse than this, since he's been with the Smiths since they were little kids, like they've grown up before his eyes. Jailbait much? But I do think, in defense of those moments, they're just moments. They're not full-on episodes. They're quick and fleeting, so you can just have your laugh and move on and not think too hard about the implications. Like, obviously, a full-on episode of Roger being Alicia Wilkner and roofing Steve, that would have been pretty uncomfortable. But I think the show has made the point, yeah, it's gross, but it's still funny. The biggest example being Love, American Dad Style, where he develops a puppy love crush on Haley, and this being Roger, well, he thinks he's in love with Haley, so he freaks out and takes it too far, which includes kidnapping her, wanting to steal her skin, and drape it all over his body.
Help! Oh, I'm gonna go get my tools! Right after I do a flip! No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm actually gonna get off the bed really carefully.
Shooting her when she rejects him, and worst of all, firing her. While I do like this episode, well, the episode was 100% open about the fact that what Roger was doing was wrong and disgusting. It was just so out there that it managed to be funny.
Great, you hate it. Well, that's alright, I'm over you anyway. Steve was right, it was just a crush. Hey, Jeff, good news. You're getting your skin back.
But yeah, Haley actually lectured Roger that she's married, so she's not gonna like him, and on top of that, she probably wouldn't like him anyway for obvious reasons, and there's a big difference between love and obsession. He wasn't in love with her, he was stalking her, and stalking isn't love.
You're obsessed with me. There's a difference. Love is mutual, and that's what Jeff and I have. Look, I'm sorry, but no matter what you do, Jeff is the only one for me.
Anyhow, Klaus and Roger don't think too deeply about the implications, besides how Klaus can manage to do it, like...
Are you okay being out of the water like this?
Oh, I'm actually in a puddle of sweat from our lovemaking.
Shouldn't he be, like, dead or something? I have questions. And they decide that they were matched together for reasons beyond algorithms and math. I don't even understand how it works. Roger is happy they're a couple, and he won't be alone anymore. But Klaus has a problem. He wants it to be a secret, which kind of get his point, considering all my points.
Dan's gonna freak when we tell him about this. He's always had a major crush on me.
Roger, we can't tell the family about this. That they won't understand.
Roger reluctantly agrees. Although, yeah, like I said above, we get a lot of moments of Klaus and Roger expressing their love, I guess you could say. Which, since this is American Dad, outside of one scene of them playing together in the bathtub, is all physical. And yeah, I think that's my biggest problem with the episode. I get it. Maybe they're trying to say, like, oh, you want to ship Klaus and Roger? This is what's gonna happen. But I just hate how drowned out the moments are. Like, they go on way too long. Like, okay, maybe it's a tad funny at first, and then they just keep going, and then it's like another one, and then like, wow, you're like the Energizer Bunny of montages. Elsewhere, Steve learns that to pass the presidential fitness test, you need to do something no kid can ever do outside of, like, I've never seen a kid actually do this. A pull-up!
Now pull up! Up!
Thank God I went to a school in the inner city, and we probably couldn't afford any of that, I don't think, so we never had to do pull-ups. Or at least I don't remember us having to do pull-ups. I do remember the gym teacher used to stare at all of our asses. At least we got to do the FitnessGram Pacer test. Yay! That makes it up. Yay! I love it so much. And the penalty for failing to do a single pull-up is quite steep, as Toshi learns the hard way.
You can't even do one pull-up, Pokemon! You failed the presidential fitness test, which means, on the authority of the president, I will now deport your favorite cousin.
At least Steve is a legal citizen, as is his cousin Glenn. Of course, it's hard for Klaus and Roger to hide their love, even if I'd argue they aren't actually in love, since their love is mostly physical. At most, they're like playmates, like Stolas and Blitz, but without all of the coercion angles attached to it. Which, maybe that's the point of it all, but yeah, I wish they did more with this idea. For example, Haley discovers them, but thank God she has pink eye.
Sorry, this pink eye is making me see things. Nurse Margaret gave me eye drops, but I think it's getting worse. I might have—
Get the out!
Like, it could foreshadow what's eventually going to come. Like, maybe Roger wants to go out and actually do something, like where the family can't find them, but Klaus says no, and then he's like, okay, I guess we'll just go in the kitchen again. Whereas the family walks in on them because subtlety is a foreign concept. It got deported along with Toshi's cousin.
It's not what you think!
I believe you. Goodbye.
No, wait. I can't hide it anymore. In fact, I want to shout it from the rooftops. Klaus and I are in love!
Yeah, I wouldn't use that word, Roger. Did you not remember when you tried to steal Haley's skin? Her yummy skin? Sorry, I like that line so much. Strangely, it's weirdly in character for Roger to be the Stolas of a relationship. Like, I thought he was gonna be the Blitz, but like, no. I mean, I already brought up love American Dad style. And remember, from Apology Tour, nobody wants to be a Stolas. Roger says that to show their love, he'll invite Stan and Francine over to dinner in his attic. Wow, they go over there a lot. And enough with that boring love crap. Pink eye time! Not the South Park episode, though. This episode. Steve tries to make himself sick to get out of doing the presidential fitness test, and decides the easiest way is pink eye. But Haley is selfish and refuses to share her pink eye like a proper sick person. Ugh, awful.
Cookies because you're sick.
Really? That's so nice.
Let me at those eyes!
Get away from her!
Share your pink eye!
Look, Steve, listen, I heard back during the NAM, or NAM, I don't know what you'd call it, people would dodge the draft the legal way by lying and saying they had a bunch of conditions. I don't know, I just heard about that when I had to do the things they carried for school. Just tell them you're a diabetic, schizophrenic lesbian with a narrow urethra so you would not be able to relieve yourself in time. Or a woman! We don't have to sign up for the draft if we don't want to! I don't know if that's good or bad, but it could work for you in this case. But it seems like Steve is screwed. At dinner, Roger is ready to do couple stuff with Klaus, like going on double dates or out to do boring couple stuff, which Klaus doesn't want to do and admits he doesn't want to be a couple. He says the only reason he liked his relationship with Roger was the sneaking around, which made it seem cool.
What made it hot was all the sneaking around. It was so wrong, so dangerous, so taboo. But now you want me to go hot air ballooning?
Alright, let's unpack this. No, I get Klaus's point. Some people just aren't made for relationships. Like I am. I tried dating and I realized it wasn't for me, and that's okay. Some people just don't like doing that. But I hate this reveal so much. Like, yes, they foreshadowed it earlier with his whole speech, but you could have just written that off as him over-exaggerating. And honestly, yeah, they could have foreshadowed it a bit better. Beyond Klaus saying he wants it to be a secret, because honestly, maybe he just wanted it to be a secret because they're basically relatives. Like I said above, maybe Roger could suggest they go on an actual date, like away for the weekend, to like a vineyard, because the Smiths obviously won't be there. But Klaus refuses and keeps refusing. Or Klaus goes to like a movie or something and expects something in return from Roger afterwards. And when Roger won't give it to him, like maybe he has a headache, or it's too late, or he got his period, or he tries to talk to him like, what are you dreaming about? He just blows him off. Not literally, of course. Like, the pair never defined their relationship. It sucks. Like, I thought How I Met Your Mother was crazy for that, but maybe you should have a talk with your SO. I think another reason I don't like the twist is, it's not the first time I've seen an episode do this, and I hate when episodes do this because you should talk to your partner. The Passion of Dotree from King of the Hill had Bill's secret date Reverend Stroop, and when the truth came out and Karen quit her job to be with him, he got tired of her and broke up because he was upset their relationship wasn't forbidden anymore. Like, he's not uncomfortable, she basically gave up her whole life to be by his side without consulting him, or made a grand romantic gesture, or whatever. He's just bored with it. I guess in both instances, it is pretty in character, but I will say, with American Dad, this is another reason Klaus works better as a May Griffin than the real May Griffin. As far as Roger knows, he played with his heart for his own selfish desires, when he could have just come out and said it. Wow. Roger really is the Stolus. What did I tell you? Don't be the Stolus. Communicate with your partner, define the relationship, and don't think like a romance novel. Klaus breaks up with Roger, and Roger goes to drown his sorrows with Francine. Huh. Is that like a pun? I mean, like fish can drown. As the persona that started all this.
Roger, just have a look around. There are plenty of other fish in the sea.
I know you're proud of yourself for coming up with that, but I just want Klaus back.
If you like fish, Franny. Personally, Roger prefers men in fish buddies, if you haven't noticed. Roger decides he has to win Klaus back, even though I don't really think it works like that. Like, if somebody says they don't want to be with you, then accept it. They don't want to be with you. It sucks, but I'm sorry, it's still their decision. Rather than realize, it's not the man in the fish's body, but the friends we made along the way, he decides that to appeal to Klaus, he'll give him danger, like he said he wanted. Only rather than do something cool, like tap into his blitzy side, or wear a flirty dress from Macy's, he pulls a Bonnie Ramirez. Lolita style!
My lawyer character bribed my judge character to push the adoption paperwork through the district courts. You officially adopted me! Well, what's more taboo than your own daughter?
I don't have the words, I'm sorry. Klaus, of course, rejects him, so Roger dips further into his little Bonnie Ramirez storyline and tells Klaus off to the cops.
Everything's not fine! He broke up with me!
Who's he?
He's my father! And my lover!
How dare he? Go sit in the corner, Klaus. Obviously, Klaus gets arrested for being a Humbert. What kind of a name even is that? And Roger is perplexed.
Wait, I didn't mean for you to take him away from me! No! Oh, what have I done? Klaus!
What did you think was gonna happen? That he'd have to go door to door with you or move down with you to that village in Florida? But let's finish off the Steve plotline and think about what could have been. Haley's pink eye gets worse to the point where she's basically blind and her eyes look like undercooked clamshells. And right as Steve is about to embarrass himself by taking the presidential fitness test. But he takes some inspiration, I'm guessing from the people I typically see at Penn Station when I get home from school, and it seems like he might have a chance.
Jesus will rise again, and there's no room for sinners in his kingdom.
I taught him that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I love that line so much. Like, Scott Grimes is like a treasure. He needs to get more recognition. I think I should do that when they make me do icebreakers at school, because we have to do them like every class, even though if you're like in graduate school, you're basically with the same people every class. Like, what more do I need to know about you? But I'm sorry, Steve. I've seen Satan without a shirt on, so I guess I'm a sinner, and I'm not allowed in his kingdom. I'm sorry. That's kinda gonna complicate things. Unfortunately, this doesn't work, so he's forced to do pull-ups, or be given pull-ups. Steve refuses and decides to do something that, while it might negatively affect his social life going forward, well, at least he won't have to take the presidential fitness test today.
You're excused.
And I did it with my dignity intact.
In all my years, I've never seen anyone try to get out of pull-ups by soiling themselves.
Somehow this works. Steve doesn't have to take the fitness test, and the military dude was so impressed with his display of testosterone that he makes it rain chicken. But not men, aw. And ew, it's dark meat. The heck is wrong with you? I only like to eat chicken boobies. Klaus makes a life for himself in prison, even if it's not exactly like Orange is the New Black. But things take a sitcom-y premise turn.
I knew I couldn't be without you. It was a pair of batting gloves I stole from Modell's. Isn't that great? Now we can do it in prison!
Ew, Roger, just why would you do that? Why would you get a buzz cut? No offense to my viewers, but I do not like buzz cuts because they remind me of human ears, and I think human ears look unnatural. I mean, it's fine if you guys have one, I don't like buzz cuts. Thank God Roger is an alien. Unfortunately, Klaus has kind of built up a life for himself in the short time he's been in prison, which does not include Roger. So Roger decides to make a show of force by stabbing Klaus's prison wife. For this, he gets sent to the SHU, where he spends the next month going insane and hallucinating stuff about Klaus with his toilet paper baby, all to creepy orchestra music. Weirdly, I think this would be me in prison, or I would keep a journal, or I would be that quiet one nobody talks to but nobody really goes by, and then I would go back to my cell and do crazy stuff, or I would write my life story on a piece of toilet paper. My name is Valerie. I don't think I'll live much longer, and I wanted to tell somebody about my life. Why do they hate us so much? A month later, Klaus and Roger are both released. Somehow. Like, I can get Roger being released, maybe his crime wasn't that severe, but Klaus's crime is that he did inappropriate things to a minor. And not just any minor, his own child. Like, he should be in prison for a long time. Like, they don't even hand-wave it like Roger used one of his personas to get him off, or Stan used his CIA connections. While Klaus hated prison, Roger had a ball of a time, as he realized he didn't need Klaus, and he wasn't in love with Klaus. He just wanted an excuse to not be alone.
But after being by myself for 30 days straight, I learned that I'm never alone with all the voices in my head.
Duh. Good thing you came to this realization now that Klaus is a fish. Like, you could have ruined his life, dude. Okay, now that I've analyzed this episode, I will say that arguably, it's not that bad. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not good, but it's also not bad. Like, as far as American Dad episodes go, there's arguably grosser ones. Tapped Out springs to mind. But yeah, watching it, I can get why people don't like it. It's gross is the best way to describe it, and it went on for like way too long. As for the B-plot, yeah, it fared a lot better, and I wish they focused more on this. Still, all it really made me think is they need to do more Roger and Klaus episodes. Like, it was a challenge just to produce the ones that I did. Anyhow, bye!
Use your board. Use your message board. How cute is Daniel Day-Lewis? Oh, good. The morphine is finally kicking in.